movie lovers, and today I have my good friend Beth with me. We're back again. We're going to be talking about Observance. And Beth, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, John. Thank you for having me back. I'm so glad to be talking about this.
Me too. I'm very excited about this. We both love Emily to death with her stuff. I mean, she just has a way of actually connecting with the audience. And even though we're focusing on Judaism again, but she has a way of actually making us care about these characters, also being relatable to us who's not Jewish, and also introducing us to her religion and her background and stuff, and the things that she probably had to go through.
Right. So, this is the third project that you and I have talked about that she has directed. So we've already talked about Punch Drunk, which we absolutely loved, and Judaism, which we also loved. So I'm excited to talk about this one.
And this is actually a TV series pilot that she did. And it's also directed by Emily Lerer and written by leading actress Alyssa Nicole Trust. So this is what the plot line is, guys. After a deep loss and academic explosion, a hard-partying scholar Jew, Gabby, finds healing and meaning in Judaism, embracing it fully as a Badalat Tashufa. Also starring Carol Brooks, Jeffrey Jean, Lauren Chappell, David Gerlach, and Liz Samuel, and Tyler Herman, and Jenna Harwood. What I have to say is this. The main character is actually dealing with the loss, the grief of losing a sister, a sibling. And everybody's so wrapped up in religion and stuff like that. And he's like, well, God has a plan for, I'm just using an example, I'm not going for verbatim, but she's like, well, F God, because he took away my sister. And, it's a dark moment, but at that same time, though, but what do you do to say to someone that needs comfort right now? You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, and I think that similarly, all the characters that knew the sister are sort of struggling with their new reality. We see Gabby's parents are struggling, and there's a really beautiful scene where Gabby's mom says to her dad, "What are you doing?" And he pulls his cell phone out and he plays a message that the sister had left. And they sort of have a different reaction to it because the mom is like, I haven't been able to listen to any of the voicemails, which I really felt because when my mom passed away a few years ago, I had saved a bunch of voicemails, and about a month ago I started listening to them, and they're so like regular voicemails. Like she would call and say, could you pick up some milk for me, or could you go to the store and get me, she loved sweets, can you go to the store and get me some donuts, and that kind of thing. And so 2 years ago I couldn't have even thought about listening to those messages, but listening to them now was very comforting. So it was interesting to see that dynamic between Gabby's parents.
I agree, because here's the thing. I lost my dad back in January last year, and the grieving process is hard and stuff, because you think of small memories, you think of certain things, and it is hard to listen to a voicemail message of someone that you had lost, and then having to figure out how to deal with the grief of not having that person around anymore, and having that missing piece in your life, that anchor in your life, which is her sister. And then even when she's upstairs, even more bad news happens to her. She's not accepted into this degree that she wants to go into or anything. So her life is falling apart. And then the only thing she wants to do, even though this is a dark scene where the boyfriend and her are upstairs and they're about to have sex, and she's like, choke me hard. Yeah. And it's like she wants to feel some type of connection to her sister, or some type of emotion is what I'm thinking when she's trying to do that,
Yeah, that's a really good insight, John, because I hadn't given a lot of thought to that, because it's sort of a strange sort of scene. I really liked it, but it was sort of unexpected, because here she is grieving, and then she's sort of choke me. But you make such a great point. I think that's probably what was happening in
Right, because when people pass away and as funerals, everybody's emotions are all over the place. They're not thinking clearly. Right. It kind of reminds me of John Cusack in High Fidelity, when his girlfriend winds up, her girlfriend's dad passes away.
Yeah.
And they wind up having sex in his car. And it's every single funeral that you think of where people are not thinking clearly or anything like that, and they're going off their first instinct on how to actually deal with something. Even if it's for like a few minutes, I just need to have something to take my mind off of things.
Yeah.
So that's what I was thinking that scene was coming from, is like a place of her trying to figure out how to deal with the loss of her sister, even if it means, having a few minutes of pleasure.
Yes. Yeah, that's a great insight. I actually agree with you now. Like I said, I hadn't given too much thought to it because I was there's so much going on in this pilot, and it's great. I loved it. There's a lot to think about. So yeah, I agree with you though. That makes a lot of sense for it to be like, I just want to feel something, especially because then we have this other loss along with it. She finds out she didn't get into the graduate school master's program she wanted, it's sort of a pivotal moment because she didn't get into this program, which sort of changes her life in a way she was not expecting, right?
Because a year later,
her Aunt Janet gets her into a different program, but only if she is a practicing converts to Judaism, because the family doesn't practice Judaism. I don't think the parents
they don't, because even the mother
the mother doesn't seem like in fact she seemed upset that Gabby was going to Shabbat.
Right, because if you remember, she's like, I don't like that feeling of disconnect from you when you have to put your phone away and not being able to talk to us. We want to know that you're okay because you're our only daughter.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, they're not Jewish or anything. It's just that she's in this obligation of like, hey, look, I have to do this in order to achieve something. And even though I don't believe in what they're doing, I have to go with it because this is my only shot here.
Yeah.
It's do or die in a sense.
Right. And initially she bucks against it. She doesn't want to do any of those things. And she also doesn't know what to do, right? Because she doesn't know the rules and the practices of Judaism. So we have the scene where she's in her new apartment and she's using a fork that she's not supposed to be using. And one of the things I did think about, John, that I really liked is that we're sort of learning along with her. And I thought that was a really clever way to not be in your face about certain things that, like if you don't know something, right, the least interesting ways to tell them is to tell them, right? So here we are having her learn, right? The new roommate, she comes in and she is like, you can't use that fork, you have to use this fork. And then she goes through the kitchen and talks about the dairy fork and the meat fork. And I thought that was really interesting because it was an interesting scene, but also I thought, oh, okay, that's good. Now that I know that, because it might be useful to know as we continue to watch. And little moments like that happen throughout the show. And I liked that. I thought it was really effective.
I did too. I like little small things like that because it gives us an introduction into how their religion is, just as it is for Gabby, who doesn't know anything about their religions. Like you said, we're figuring out things with her.
Yeah.
But I also like the fact that, she's like, look, I'm not going to remember any of this. Can you put sticky notes on it? And if you look later on in the scenes, there's sticky notes. Whenever the boyfriend comes back into the picture, there's sticky notes everywhere around there. So she is honoring that roommate code. Yeah. Which
I love the sticky notes. I laughed so hard when I saw those on the wall because it's a blink and you miss it, right? But it was so funny. I'm like, oh, there's a sticky notes. But it's funny.
I like that little juxtaposition of like small attention to details later on. So I like that.
Yeah, I did too. I thought that was really clever. But I also like that, she's like, well, I'm never going to learn all these things. And then we see that her at Shabbat, obviously the first time she meets with the group, it's kind of a disaster in a way, but everybody in the room is very tolerant of, because her phone goes off and then she turns a light on or off and she's not supposed to, and then they're doing the washing the hands and then they say a prayer and we see her later and she does all of the things, like she's learned
how to memorized every single bit of it. Right. And there's also that, like you said, the cell phone goes off and everybody's like, okay, no big deal. This is her first go-to at this. And then you're not supposed to turn off the lights unless you're not a Jewish person. So that's the only way that you can turn on the lights. And so there's also the hand washing, lighting the candles. You go from left to right, not right to left. There's so many rules and guidelines. And then she makes cracks about God and stuff like that too, as well. And here's the thing, I used to be like that because I'm like, my grandmother wanted me to receive communion. I know I told this story before with Judaism, but I'm like, what's the point of me reciting a bunch of words that I don't even understand my own self just to receive communion and get a picture and make my grandmother happy?
Yeah.
So I actually understand it from her perspective. Yeah. So that's one thing I like is the relatability with me, because I feel like she's also talking to me as a young 18, 21-year-old talking to me. But yes, I like how she's picking up on things, like you said, the hand washing, lighting the candles, and stuff like that. And then even when the phone rings, it's like one of those dirty club songs too. So, and she has no filter, which is something else I liked. She was about to have phone sex on the couch with her boyfriend. Remember that?
She admits it. Like when Shoshana and Shlomo come in the apartment, she's like, "What were you doing?" She's like, "I was just about to have phone sex."
On our couch?
Yeah, on our couch.
She goes, "Well, I wouldn't have said anything if you did anything." And then she goes, "Well, we can't because we don't do that. So you guys don't have urges." And she's like, "No." And then her boyfriend's like, "Yeah, I have urges." She goes, "What? I'm a guy. What do you want?"
Yeah. And then later on we see Shlomo's friend, I think his name was Benji, is like, we all do it. And Shoshana's like, "No, you don't do it." And Shlomo just kind of looks off, and Benji's like, we all do it. It's kind of a little bit of a funny moment. Because
another thing I have to, I'm sorry if I'm interrupting you, but it reminds me of the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, because she's also Jewish as well. So I'm learned some stuff from that show, and how families are, and I'm also watching it in this context as well. And I'm just dialed into this family. I'm dialed into the boyfriend and girlfriend dynamic, and also too, Gabby's boyfriend's not Jewish, so he has a different perspective outside of this whole entire thing. So he doesn't get it. So when he comes over to visit, he goes, "So how about you skip it? Just one time. It's not going to hurt you. You're just going ahead and look at apartments with me." I'm not going to give out spoilers because, there's some stuff that happens within it. But I have to say, the direction of it, I love the wide angle shots, the cinematography of it, that New York vibe to it, fish out of water kind of pilot episode, which is something I liked. What about for you?
There was a lot that I liked. I liked the things that we've already talked about, but I did also like that there were some flashbacks, so you could see sort of what the relationship was right up until the sister passed away. So there was some really moving flashbacks. I don't think there was a single moment wasted, which is always a really good thing when you're talking about a short, 30-minute TV show. So I think that every single scene was really vitally important. I also think that Gabby, though she sort of starts out, she comes on really strong, that they pull back a little bit so we get to know her a little better. And I like that. I mean, I liked her like loud and, fun, and says what she wants, says what's on her mind, and has a great sense of humor. I really like that, but I do think they showed a really human side of her as well. So I think it's definitely a show that the characters there's a lot of room for all of them to grow and evolve, which I think is really good, because it's a pretty decent sized cast for a 25-minute show.
I agree, but I like the fact that there's that many characters, and I'm able to probably remember their names and stuff, and that's what makes it I like stuff like that, where it's not overcrowded. Because I have ADHD, so if I hear a bunch of names thrown at me all at one time, it's brain overload for me. But with this, it takes its time to develop the characters, get to know the characters, just as Gabby is trying to get to know her roommate, the boyfriend, and stuff like that. And another thing too is this is pretty much like sisterhood if you think about it, just as Gabby's sister is gone. She's now got this new roommate who's also a sister-like person to her because of the religion aspect to it. And I also like the fact, too, they don't hammer you over the head with the religion or anything like that. I really feel like it's well-grounded and also accessible. I also feel like it's just it brings a strong personality to the table of this, you know?
Yeah. And when you talk about sisterhood, I wanted to just bring up a really small kind of really beautiful moment where there's two of them. One is when she starts reading the book that Judaism is about love. I like that. But there's a scene in the kitchen. Then there's Janet and there's Gabby and Shoshana and there's another character who's, forgive me, I forget her name. And they're getting food ready, right? They're making the bread and they're talking. And Gabby is sort of like, don't you feel confined in here? And they were like, no, we love it. And I love that you sort of take the stereotype of women in the kitchen and turn it on its head and think about it like that somebody can really love doing that, even though the stereotype is that's what we're forced to do as women. So I really like that it kind of sat there inside of this episode. I thought that was really lovely. I like that.
Same here. Now that you think about it, I like the fact they're like, well, do guys have to do this too? Yeah, they do, but it's specifically just for us. Yeah. And she's like, well, aren't you mad because men tell you what to do and what not to do? No, we don't feel that way at all. It's our job as a wife, because it's not just sisterhood. It's about future. Right. The future and setting up with how to be a loving wife to your husband and honoring your husband in a sense, but also too being able to learn how to bake something, and that takes its time, just as marriage takes time to really sit in. And I think that is like a metaphor. I think the bread is like a metaphor for marriage in a sense, and preparing for a future. For future. Yeah,
but I mean, and they take their time. Aunt Janet, they show a close-up of Aunt Janet taking her time, sort of like, folding this bread, and it's like this, it's going to be this beautiful thing. And I just really like that. I thought it was a really good moment, like to reflect on, sometimes we forget when we're so stuck in stereotypes and, women should do this and women shouldn't do this. And then you forget that maybe the women get to decide what they want to do, because maybe that does make them happy, right? Like, I don't love gardening. It's not something I would do, but a lot of my friends love gardening. So, I mean, everybody loves the things that they love. And if that's one of them, that's great. And obviously Gabby came to love it because she wouldn't miss it when Noah asked her to skip. And she's like, no, I really like going.
Right. It's something that she looks forward to. And she never would have thought that she would actually look forward to this, because at first she thought it was stupid. Yeah. And something that was beneath her. But also, too, I'm going to use this analogy. I know I already used the marriage thing, but the bread to me is Gabby, in a sense, where it's not molded very well. It takes time for her to be able to break the walls that with Judaism and stuff. And with time and patience and care, you get a nice loaf of bread, just as how her life turns into something beautiful.
That's a really good insight, John. I love that. And I don't want to give away a spoiler, but at the very end, we see a very small change in Shoshana and Shlomo too, that I think that if the series gets picked up, there's a lot of room there. And I really like that, because, that means that, everybody's making some little changes. So that means that, things have changed with them, having met Gabby.
Right, it's part of life.
So, yeah, and you learn to love and grow with people, friends, family, all of the things, So I thought that was really lovely, but I don't want to spoil it, so you got to watch it to see what I'm talking about. But you'll know it when you see it. You'll know it when you see it.
But there's one more thing I want to mention. I feel like as much as Gabby needs them and stuff, I think they also need her too.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the scene I'm referring to shows that a little bit too, because they change a little bit internally from Gabby's presence.
Right, and I love how they hold hands. They don't hold hands like regular people do. They with their pinky.
Yeah.
So I thought that was adorable.
Yeah.
But still, overall, I hope this gets picked up. I hope Netflix or Hulu or someone picks this show up.
But I do hope that they delve a little bit more into Aunt Janet. I'd like to get to know her a little bit more. But I think that, because she's a very strong woman in the show. I mean, she's the one that like helps Gabby get into this program and move to New York City. So I think that she has a lot to say and do, and I think there's a lot to explore with all of the characters. So I do hope it gets picked up, because I would watch every week. I would watch it. I shouldn't say every week, every episode, because
even if she just posts it like on a web series of this.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that too. I'll eat my cake. I'll take it any way I can for this show.
I really enjoyed it. But John, we love Emily, so we're just always love to watch anything that she directs.
Exactly. As soon as I got the email and saying this is I said yes.
Yeah.
So I knew that I had to invite you on here because we love Emily. We love the stuff that she does.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. So, and I'm really appreciative that you asked me to come and talk about it, because I was really happy to when I watched it.
Of course, not a problem. All right, guys. So if you guys haven't seen this or anything, or if you're curious about it and want to ask me some questions or anything like that, comment below, or Beth will go on ahead and probably pop into the comment section as well on the YouTube channel and stuff as well. Sure. Go do us another favor. Go ahead, follow Beth at the Made for Movie TV podcast. Beth, what stuff can they expect from Made for TV Movie podcast?
We are right now in the middle of our summer TV extravaganza. That's where we watch our favorite TV series from the 70s, 80s, and 90s that have had like reunion movies, pilot movies. Next week we are recording the series finale of the TV show Silk Stockings, and then in September we are doing Killing Mr. Griffin, and we have a professor joining us, and we're on his podcast named Dustin Morrow, and we're going to talk about Dark Night of the Scarecrow, which is one of his favorite TV movies. Ooh. It came out in 1980. It is an incredible movie. I had never seen it before, and I know that from the 70s TV movies are amazing, so I was very hopeful. It was great. So we got some fun stuff coming up.
Okay. And guys, tomorrow, at the time of this recording, tomorrow night, 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, I will be on live with the K&J podcast. We're going to be talking about The Naked Gun. We're doing a rewatch, review of The Naked Gun to get prepared for the Naked Gun remake. Go on ahead, check that out. I just dropped 2 trailer reactions tonight before we did this show. I did a Stranger Things Season 5 reaction, and also a Johnny Cage reaction from Mortal Kombat. So go on and check that out. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe button. Go on ahead and visit Beth at the Made for TV Movie podcast, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. And don't forget to do this, guys, though, too. Go visit my co-host Rossie's at Rossie's Clubhouse. I'm a director, editor over there as well. Go on and check her out, say hi to her, and always until next time, guys. Thank you again, Beth. I do appreciate it.
Thank you, John. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for watching and listening. Talk to you guys later. Bye.